Hey guys, I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday. Hey guys, all right, we're gonna hold on, cord. There we go. Um, my name is Feather Bethany, and tonight a few of us wanted to get together and talk a little bit about autoimmune diseases and nutrition. And so I'm gonna let Jennifer Tamman start us off. She's gonna share her mom's story, and I think y'all are all gonna love it.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I really hope that what I'm going to share makes a big difference for you. And I hope that it's something that maybe you can relate to. So feel free to pop in the comments if you can relate at all to my mom's story. My mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1998. And I watched helplessly as her eyesight started to diminish more, her balance and motor skills decreased. Of course, while the side effects from the medication that she was taking increased. And it was heartbreaking to watch my mom do this. She was also one of the, lucky ones, we kind of joke now, who had chronic nerve pain. She had chronic headaches every day from it. She was only 42 years old when she was diagnosed, which is a year younger than I am now. So to think about that just hits me really hard. When I first learned about whole food nutrition and fruits and vegetables in a capsule and Juice Plus in 2010, I didn't immediately put together that this was something that could actually help my mom or anyone else I knew with autoimmune disorders, despite the fact that I'm a scientist, I'm a molecular biologist, I worked in cancer immunotherapy research, but they don't teach you how food impacts the body. That wasn't what I learned when I went to school and when I was doing research. I just wanted it for myself. I thought, oh, this is going to be great for me. And I was hoping to have a healthier pregnancy my second time around, which I did. But then something really cool happened. Someone put the research in front of me. And at that time, we just had over 20 studies were done on Juice Plus. And when I saw that just by simply eating these fruits and vegetables in a capsule, you could lower your inflammation, a big light went off in my head because I did know that inflammation was a big deal in autoimmune disorders. So I was like, you know what? It can't possibly hurt. So I was like, Mom, you have to buy this. You have to take it. And she trusted me enough that she decided to, she didn't even look into it. She just was like, okay. So she took it. Seriously, within a few short months, we were able to see improvements in my mom's health. Her flare-ups became further and further apart. She has remitting relapsing MS. For those of you who know what that is, it means sometimes you feel pretty good and sometimes you really don't feel very good. But we were able to see improvements, and her flare-ups were further and further apart. And when she did have one, they didn't last as long. And her the issues she was having and her symptoms were decreased. They weren't as bad. And my mom was able to rely less and less on her cane and her walker during those times. And I remember her telling me like she felt like she got some of her life back. Oh, I didn't realize I was going to get emotional about this. Okay. She also noticed that she wasn't getting as sick as much from other colds and flus. And because, especially now what we know this now, being, 20 some years later, we know that when you have an autoimmune disorder, your immune system is also diminished. And especially some of the medications you're taking do that as well. And so she would get sick with everything that came through her house. And so she wasn't getting as sick as much. So she got life back there as well. And as more and more research has come out, not just on whole food nutrition, but on just those Juice Plus capsules themselves, it has really helped me to connect the dots on how important the role of whole food nutrition is with anyone that suffers from any type of autoimmune disorder. And I'm so incredibly grateful for the person who was brave enough to share this with me, because that person didn't know that my mom had MS and that I have nephews with ADHD and other, you don't know who you're going to impact when you share this with someone. So I'm so grateful that the person who shared it with me so that I could also pay it forward to my mom and anybody else who has autoimmune disorders. And I've been seeing some pretty cool. I've been hearing some pretty cool stories as we prepared for this event. So I'm really excited for the next person to share. And so I have totally lost the name of the person I'm supposed to introduce, Feather. I'm so sorry. Who was it?
It's not a problem. It's Miss Suzanne Daigle. She's going to share her amazing.
Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you, Suzanne. I'm so excited to hear your story. Take it from here.
Thank you. So hi, everybody. I'm tuning in all the way from the north. I'm way up in northern Canada in a place called Flin Flon, Manitoba. What an incredible story that was. Like, wow. I just actually watched a documentary about MS, and everything you said was just bang on to what they were saying. So my story's, it's sort of different. It's not linear. I'll just tell you that. I started eating Juice Plus probably about 5.5 years ago, and I was introduced to it via the Tower Garden. I had fallen in love with the Tower Gardens, and of course, the person who sold me that was smart enough to also teach me about the Juice Plus capsules. So I looked at them. I looked at a bit of the research as well, and it honestly was a no-brainer. I just thought, of course, I should take these too. Got my husband on them as well, and this had all come into my life just at the right time because I was actually at a pretty good point. I had just battled through some major health issues and a lot of burnout. I'd had to leave my job, and I was just it just felt like a really great place to be. Um, I didn't know if these would really have a big impact on me or not, but the thing I noticed right away was how much it improved my energy. And the thing I always joke about is that I felt so good. I went out and got a puppy.
Mhm.
So life goes along. And then about 2.5 years ago, life got a little more complicated for me again. My father had some significant health issues and turned out getting a diagnosis of dementia. So that meant that because my mom doesn't drive, that I was going to have to take on some new responsibilities there. My husband was working away 50% of the time in another northern community of us. He was an underground miner, so that meant he was away 50% of the time. And then this thing called the pandemic hit the world. And I'm sure we all have our pandemic stories and how that impacted us and how it really um, I guess I think impacted me is it really triggered off a whole heck of a domino effect in terms of stress. I was really worried about my parents. I was worried about my husband. I was worried about myself. I was incredibly isolated and alone all the time. I wasn't sleeping well. I probably was stress eating more than I should have. All the normal things that I think were common for a lot of people. But then other things started happening. I noticed a lot more sort of aches and pains. I wasn't sleeping well at all. My energy was just gone. So I started to think, well, maybe I was depressed. So I actually sought out some counseling, and I did some work with somebody, and it really did a lot of positive things for my mindset, but I still wasn't feeling right in my body. So seeing my doctor, I learned that my thyroid function had really gone low, and we had to do some work there. I was prescribed some medication, and that seemed to help a little bit, but still it was hard to sort of figure out what was what. So she made a referral for me to go and see a rheumatologist. But in the meantime, I did a number on my knee. I ended up tearing a meniscus in one of my knees, and you can imagine all the inflammation and stuff that resulted from that. So while I was waiting, getting scans and X-rays and waiting to see these specialists, I was just hobbling along, doing the best I could. I did some physiotherapy that helped me quite a bit, um, but things just still weren't right. Finally, the days came. I got to go see uh, a surgeon who I thought was going to tell me that he would repair the meniscus in my knee. But what he told me was that that had pretty much sorted itself out, but that I had severe, he emphasized severe arthritis in my knee, and that I likely would be looking at a knee replacement. Well, I was like really kind of blown away by this because I thought I just had some general aches and pains. Nobody had even suggested that I had arthritis. So that was kind of a doozy. The following day is when I saw the rheumatologist, and she decided that I more than likely had fibromyalgia. So she ran a whole whack of other tests, and that began another whole journey for me. And quite honestly, it was really quite scary because when you look up anything about fibromyalgia, it's pretty hard to find hopeful things. When you read there's over 100 symptoms, and they just seem to be shotgun all over the place. Um, that kind of blew my mind. So I'll be honest, I kind of just didn't know what to do. So I did what my doctor recommended, which was to take some medications. But what that did is it just made things worse for me, especially in terms of exhaustion. Um, she really wanted me to improve my sleep because she said that was key to getting well. But what happened was the medications, I'm so sensitive to chemicals in general that I could sleep 14, 16 hours a day. So that wasn't doing me any good. So I got off of one, tried another. Long story short, medications didn't work for me. But then I finally realized that really what I needed was right in front of me. And that was I reached out to the Juice Plus community and people like our next speaker, in fact, who I knew a lot about health, well-being, and nutrition. And the thing that was suggested to me was to simply double my Juice Plus intake. And you guys, within 10 days, the pain in my knee went from, say, anywhere from a 10 to a 12 out of 10 down to like a 2. And I no longer really have to rely on having a cane. In fact, I just keep it in my car sort of as a security blanket, but I haven't used it for months now. And I'm trekking through snow. I live in northern Canada, as I said. That's like amazing. I was so excited about it. I always have to tell people about that. And in terms of my fibromyalgia, I mean, I'm still on quite a learning curve there, but I've come to realize the importance again of those fruits and vegetables. And when you don't feel well, to be able to take something in a capsule is just such an easy button. When you have a chronic illness, you're just so overwhelmed with so much. So to have a solution like this, I mean, it's just a gift, right? And I would say that being a part of this community is also an incredible gift, because if if you're looking to be mentored or just to be hanging with people that have such a healthy mindset, this is where you want to align yourself with. So on that note, I'm going to introduce you to Amber Young, who also has fibromyalgia, and I'll let her explain what else, but she's been one of those people that was there for me and has offered me some really great information besides to keep taking my Juice Plus.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I applaud you for your journey and everything that you've gone through and not giving up, being able to listen to the doctors, hear their recommendations, and then make the educated decision like, hey, this isn't really working for me. There must be something else, and listening to your intuition and actually going off of that. So I applaud you for that. So everybody, hi, I'm Amber. I'm a mindfulness coach, and I utilize yoga, meditation, and sound healing to ignite and cultivate the mind, body, and soul. At the end of my talk, I'll share a short mantra that you guys can use in your everyday life. I've always been very mindful of health and wellness, as I was a volleyball player for 15 years, and I've always loved to work out. I was working on becoming a physical therapist, athletic trainer when I was derailed off that path due to excruciating pain from being T-boned at 50 miles an hour. And I actually shrunk half an inch from how hard I was actually hit from side to side. From that angle, it totally derailed me from going on my health and wellness journey and being able to help others. So I switched to business, and this is where my health actually really started to deteriorate. I was working at a high-stress car dealership, managing multiple auto brands while going to school 5 hours a night to finish my degree. I was living off energy drinks and while still eating healthy, or so I thought. And, I started gaining weight. I had constant migraines, and I was always getting sick. I was always fatigued. I had constant stabbing pain, and I was inflamed. My doctor just kept telling me, oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. It's just your high stress job. You'll get through it. You're young. At this time, I was only 23 years old. You're young. Don't worry about it. You're just going through a phase. He prescribed me Xanax, migraine meds, pain medication, the whole works. I knew deep down in my soul that this wasn't right, but I gave my doctor the benefit of the doubt. He's the expert. He's the one that went to school for this, I'll continue to live my life. Fast forward 6 years to 2011, and I still wasn't feeling well. My stomach always hurt. I'd gained 20 pounds, and I was still extremely fatigued, and I still had the migraines. I'd been to numerous doctors who all told me it was all in my head and that I was stressed from my corporate job. I knew that wasn't the case and that something was truly wrong with me. And I said, enough is enough. And I went to nutrition school. During my journey in school, I learned about so many different dietary theories and started researching my symptoms on my own. The more I learned, the more I understood that what was going on to my body. Yes, stress was a major factor, but it wasn't the root cause of my pain and my inflammation. After all the research, I finally figured out what was truly wrong with me. I made an appointment with my doctor to go have a panel of blood drawn. And when I spoke with them, I told them I needed to confirm that I have allergies to animal products, I have celiac disease, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue. She looked at me like I was freaking crazy. Like, Who are you? You're walking in here and you're telling me what, I'm doing my job. Like, no, that's not happening. But she's like, okay, whatever, I'll do whatever you want me to do. So she wrote up all the stuff. About a week and a half later, after she ran all the panels, I went and did the tests for the adrenals and all that fun stuff. She called me back and she was amazed that I literally was right on every single thing. I was allergic to every single animal product. I was allergic to gluten. I had severe celiac disease because of it. I had fibromyalgia as well as chronic fatigue. So this right there just shows you, don't ever take what a doctor tells you. Like, if you feel that intuition's deep within you, something's wrong, go for it. Go and find out things. And at this time, 2011, there was no resources like they are today. Like, literally, I had to go to the library and research books and go and find things to be able to do this stuff. So from this diagnosis, my doctor gave me a list of medications that she wanted me to take, and it was over $800 a month for all the stuff she wanted me to take. $800. That was on top of everything else, not on food. That was just to take care of the fibromyalgia and the chronic fatigue, to make sure everything was in line. I was like, I literally started crying in the doctor's office. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There has to be another way. So this is where my journey to heal really began. I cut out all animal products, gluten, and caffeine. I started juicing, eating all the plant-based and completely gluten-free, nourishing my body with what was put on this planet. The first thing that I learned in nutrition school was let food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food. And that is exactly what I did. I felt worse before I felt better, as my body was detoxing the years and years of neglect. And after about 3 months, my symptoms were starting to really subside. After 6 months, I literally felt like I was back to normal with no symptoms whatsoever. This was in 2013, and I've been living this lifestyle ever since. In 2016, I began my mindfulness journey and learned to truly be able to balance the mind, body, and soul in the ways that I can manage stress without the consumption of alcohol, which was the last item I needed to remove to become completely whole within my body, and to reduce the last bit of inflammation that was there. This is what led me to become a yoga teacher, a meditation coach, and also a sound healer. My health setbacks allowed me to truly appreciate what I was putting into my body. And in 2001, I became an urban farmer and started growing my own food. I wanted to have control of where my food was coming from, as I hadn't grown food since I was a child. And especially with being the pandemic, I needed something to be able to get myself outside and be able to grow my own food, because I had a lettuce was like $8 and I wasn't going to pay $8 for a head of lettuce. I'm like, I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to show everybody that I can do it. And I did. I love being able to go outside and tend to my plants, as not only does it nourish my body, it allows me to connect with nature and also appreciate the food that I'm growing. I have 7 towers that I grow with and love being able to share my passion with others, as well as a ton of other delicious meals. When you're able to balance the mind, body, and soul, it will also allow your symptoms to be more manageable. And especially with being within this community, if we ever have questions, we can always bounce ideas off one another. And Suzanne was one of the first people, like when I started growing my tower, she goes, hi, you need to move your lights closer to your tower, otherwise they're not going to grow. So the beauty of it is, even though we're all different cross signs, different friends, like we're all here to help one another. And that is like one of the biggest things that I totally love. And here I am today with 3 autoimmune diseases, living to my life to the fullest on 0 pain medications and 0 medications. Only medication I take is fruit and vegetables, and what exactly comes from the earth. And of course, to kind of close out with a little bit, as you flow through the rest of your week, allow yourself grace and ease, and send the intention to be happy. Respond to your own thoughts with friendliness. Meet yourself with a loving and caring heart. Recognize your desire to be happy. Say it out loud. Yes, I want to be happy. With the intention in mind, offer yourself the following phrases when ripples may occur. May I be happy? May I be healthy? May I be safe? May I be at ease? I'll say that one more time. May I be happy? May I be healthy? May I be safe? And may I be at ease? And so it is. And Feather, I'll go ahead and pass it right back to you.
Well, I'm a little bit speechless right now, y'all. Like, that story is amazing. Wow. Okay, so now I'm gonna refocus myself here. So I'm gonna open it up for questions here in just a second. I just want to close it out with, if what you heard tonight, these 3 amazing stories, if any of that resonates with you, get with the person who invited you. Have a conversation with them. Juice Plus may or may not be for you. Tower Gardens may or may not be for you, but have that conversation. And if it is for you, that is amazing. Place your order, get started on your own health journey. The person who invited you, I know, would be more than honored to help you start that journey. And if maybe you're like us and you think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I need this product and I need to share this product with the world. Again, the person that invited you would be completely honored to help you get started building your own Juice Plus franchise business or Tower Garden business, one and the same, and get you started on your way to your own health journey and helping those that you love and care about. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to Facebook. We're going to stop that live. Facebook, if y'all have any questions, pop them in the comments and we will get y'all some answers. I think we're done. Okay, so I'm going to leave the recording going. I'm going to switch this to gallery. So does anyone on here have any questions? You can just unmute yourself, ask questions to Jennifer, Amber, or Suzanne, and go. Don't everybody unmute at one time. I'm just kidding. Okay, let me see if there's any questions in the chat. No questions in the chat. Okay, well, I guess if no one has any questions, we will tell everyone good night. I don't know how to stop.